stale, dry cigarettes, and you have darkness. So in many ways, this feels like a morgue, right? This is very much in contrast to how has his house been described before? Lively, like full of life, full of people, conversation, activity, music, dance, right? And now it's just dead. Feels like a morgue, death. Right? All right. So now, oh, one last thing. Bottom of 148, or top of 149. That first sentence, it excited him too that many men had already loved Daisy. It increased her value in his eyes. I just wanted to point that out. What? Oh, can you bring this next? Thank you. So that's a weird thing to say about someone.
Question whether he loved her or not. That's when I was reading it.
It increased her value. You don't say that. Oh, yeah, she's been loved by many very wealthy men before. Oh, she's much more valuable now. All right, let's quickly grab our snacks. I'd like to finish this book. Okay, quickly. Nobody else?
It is good.
What's up?
This is the first day I saw her at my school.
What's the fuck? Quickly take our seats. So we're talking about this house. So we've got the dead dream. We've got Daisy drifting away. She's turned off the lights. So we kind of skipped around just a little bit. We now know Gatsby's dead. All of his attempts were futile. Whoops. Can you move that laptop for me?
Is it supposed to be recording?
Yeah. I'm recording it mainly for you all.
Excuse my language.
I will, as you write your essays, I will put these online so that like you can go back and reference, because it is all straight lectures, so you can reference some of the things that we talked about. Okay. Going to page 179 now. 179. We're now going to see, we're still kind of talking about the house. So this house being described as a morgue. That break right here, it says Gatsby's house was still empty when I left. So again.
Pardon the interruption. Will the following students please report to Ms. Shu's office? Taylor Carter, Maria Tessero, Amber Walton, Ariana Lloyd, Alicia Quinteros, Janaria Ross. Thank you.
So I think it's interesting again. I can't remember what the context was yesterday when we talked about it, but this commentary of the city, right? You live in a city and you should be connected with a lot of people, but actually the loneliness in a city, right? The irony, living in a city with people, but yet you're disconnected. I think it was with technology, maybe the phones or the cars. And then here at the end, Gatsby hosted all these parties, yet his house is empty. He dies in a very lonely way. No one shows up to his funeral except for the chauffeur, the dad, and Nick. Right? The very last paragraph on 179. On the last night, with my trunk packed and my car sold to the grocer, I went over and looked at that huge, incoherent failure of a house. Why can you call that house a failure? What was the whole purpose of it? Right? It was a failure of a house once more. On the white steps, an obscene word scrawled by some boy with a piece of brick stood out clearly in the moonlight, and I erased it, drawing my shoe raspingly along the stone. Then I wandered down to the beach and sprawled out on the sand. So Gatsby, Nick sees someone graffitiing Gatsby's house, right? This is what it's amounted to, this life. And now it's just abandoned and people are graffitiing on it. And Nick is like preserving it, almost like a monument or a tombstone, right? He's the caretaker of Gatsby. Much like this book is the caretaker of Gatsby's memory. It's making sure we remember him, right? The keeper of, so he's honoring his friend's memory. Most of the big shore places were closed now, and there were hardly any lights except for the shadowy, moving glow of a ferry boat across the sound. And as the moon rose higher, then the inessential houses began to melt away until gradually I became aware of the old island here that flowered once for Dutch sailors, a fresh green breast of the new world. So I think that's really interesting. Like, this was the shore that the Dutch sailors came to, right? This shore offered the promise for a new life. And let me keep reading. Its vanished trees, the trees that had made way for Gatsby's house, had once pandered in whispers to the last and greatest of all human dreams. So for Nick, this land is a symbol for those who succeeded and claimed the land. But what did they do? They succeeded and claimed this land, but, Terrace, they destroyed the opportunity for others. Right? Of all human dreams, for a transitory, enchanted moment, man must have held his breath in the presence of this continent, compelled into an aesthetic contemplation he neither understood nor desired, face to face for the last time in history with something commensurate to his capacity for wonder. So I think it's interesting here. The shore lights, Nick also describes. These shore lights were once a sign of beauty to Nick, right? Like amazement. That's why he went to New York. But now they vanished along with Gatsby. So the only light that can still be seen is the ferry boat in the darkness, which is Charon's boat. Do we know that Greek myth? No. It's the Norse myth, right? They take the dead bodies on the boat and carry them away. Almost, have you seen Lord of the Rings? Yeah. The very last one.
They shoot the arrows as a fire.
Yeah, so now the lights are no longer a sign of wonder, but a sign of fleeting life. And as I sat there brooding on the old, unknown world, I thought of Gatsby's wonder when he first picked out the green light at the end of Daisy's dock. He had come a long way to this blue lawn, and his dream must have seemed so close that he could hardly fail to grasp it. So he was so close to his dream, right? He was just right there.
And then
He couldn't fail. Almost grasped it. He did not know that it was already behind him. Somewhere back into that vast obscurity beyond the city, where the dark fields of the Republic rolled on under the night. Gatsby believed in the green light, the orgastic future that year by year recedes us. So the future is year by year falling behind us, right? It eluded us then, but that's no matter. Tomorrow, right? So it's always going to fall behind us, but it doesn't matter. Tomorrow we will run faster, stretch out our arms farther. And one fine morning, and then he seems to stop his train of thought. So what do? We beat on. Boats against the current, against all the obstacles. Borne back ceaselessly into the past. So this...
Good afternoon, Camp Northeast. Quick reminder, Big Brother's Big Sister event from tonight has been canceled due to the weather. Also, dance practice or tryouts have been also canceled for today. The only thing that has not been canceled has been detention. I repeat, detention is still going on for today, so make sure you have detention.
So, listen carefully. It's very important you understand. Listen, I'm talking. So the orgastic future, it's the pinnacle of life itself. These lines are extremely famous. The pinnacle of life itself. So, you know, even though the future is always like going past us, he still believed in it, and he still tried, no matter how unachievable it seemed, he still tried to reach it. You can wait on that. Like Gatsby's pursuit of this green light, we will still fight against the current for it until we can't any longer. And then for my boats against the current, I said even a generation as corrupt as the one in the 1920s, they still possessed an undying desire to achieve their dreams. So this kind of thought that, you know, at the very end, one fine morning, it kind of breaks off. It gives us the sense that maybe the dream is dead. And eventually we'll all wake up, kind of like a dream, right? This is all one big dream, and that dash is like, oh, I need to wake up, right? Because the dream is dead. But he ends telling us, right, regardless of how hard it is or how futile it seems to pursue this dream, what do we keep doing? We keep trying, we keep going. And that is the end of the Great Gatsby.